First of all, I'd like to acknowledge and thank you for starting the process of getting the job done. There's been years of inaction over the last number of years, and we heard from Justice Arbour that there is a graveyard of recommendations. So I'm optimistic that these recommendations won't fall on deaf ears. As we're all aware, there's a crisis with recruitment and retention. So do you see this as a roadmap to getting more people to serve?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate that question very much. And I think that what we need to do, and the purpose of this report, is not only to respond to Madame Arbour's recommendation, but is to lay the foundation for the building of an institution where all members who serve can be respected and protected. And why is that important, in direct answer to your question? But because we have to exemplify to Canadians that this is an institution where if they choose to put on an uniform, that they will be treated with the respect that they deserve. And so it very much is a reconstitution issue as well as a moral issue. In other words, from an operational perspective, we need the Canadian Armed Forces to grow. We have heard the Chief of Defence Staff speak about this regularly. And in order for the Canadian Armed Forces to grow, we need to embark on these culture change initiatives, and we need to make sure that they are successful. And so very much the answer to your question is yes. This is a matter of growth for the Canadian Armed Forces, as well as we need to do what is morally right.
So we're looking ahead, and also we heard from Justice Arbour that we have a lengthy process. We have a lot of internal reviews. We have potentially a full decade of work ahead of us. So speaking to that of the civilian system, are you concerned that the backlog civilian system is not going to be able to handle the additional burden?
I will say that Madame Arbour, and you've just heard from her, was skeptical about the ability of choice to work. In other words, if there is a choice for a civilian system to reject the case, her view was that they would reject it because they knew that the military system was available. And in order for us to ensure that we are going to move forward with significant reforms that will protect survivors in the military justice system, we need to move ahead with one option. Now, in the interim recommendation of Madame Arbour will continue to apply. But I'm very much aligned with Madame Arbour on the need to move forward with recommendation number 5 in order to ensure that full-fledged systemic change for the benefit of victims and survivors occurs.
So my last question would be is, in order to implement something, talk is very cheap. We need to actually see action on it. So is there any way that you can suggest to the committee here today that you can report back in 3 months, 2 months, 4 months? What's the magic date that you can report back to us with what progress you are making?
I really appreciate this question because this is exactly the approach that I plan to take. First and foremost, I want to say that our response table to Parliament and a roadmap forward on every single recommendation in the report is a different approach that had not been taken in the past. Now you see, everyone can see, Canadians can see, you all can see what our plans are. Furthermore, I have directed my officials to ensure that there is a tech brief every quarter on our progress, as we've been doing for the last year. Furthermore, the external monitor will be reporting in April and then periodically thereafter to ensure that she is being transparent to the public. And finally, I am always more than happy to come back to committee whenever invited to provide you with an update on our progress. This is the approach. In order to build confidence, we need Canadians to see the progress, and we need to be held to account. And that's exactly what I will intend occurs.
Thank you. So changing gears a little bit. An article was published yesterday in the press with regards to detail of the call sign assigned to a Canadian Armed Force fighter pilot, which was shocking and offensive. The officers were said to have been given administrative punishments. Do you know what were those administrative measures that were taken?
First of all, I want to say that I was appalled and deeply concerned when I heard of this simply unacceptable incident. That incident is the very reason we need to embark on culture change of this magnitude, and why I will work every day to ensure that it occurs. I know that the RCAF is taking measures to update its approach in the tradition of call sign review boards. It's going to involve formalizing the process to provide proper oversight. It's going to involve ensuring that they're conducted in an appropriate and respectful manner.